An alliance of Kurdish and Arab militants in Syria says it has reached a deal with Damascus to work on ways to end the multiple-year conflict in the country. The alliance, which is known as the Syrian Democratic Forces or the SDF, said it would cooperate with the government to create a democratic and decentralized Syria. This followed an announcement by the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who said he was opening doors for negotiations with Syrian Kurds. Assad said he would welcome talks with the Kurds, who he said had become wary of their unpredictable ally, the United States. It appears that the equation of the conflict in the country, specifically in the north, which is controlled by the Kurds, would sooner or later witness major shifts. And many are already asking what really forced the Kurds to move away from Washington and approach Damascus.
The war is coming to an end, finally. And the Syrian government and the Kurds are allies. And it is in the interests for both of them to come to some sort of agreement with each other. The Syrian Kurds know it is in their interests to now come to an official agreement with Damascus. By coming to an official agreement with Damascus, this will guarantee their security in the northeast of the country.
The Kurds had been supported by Washington during Syria's conflict of about 7 years. They had already managed to form an autonomous administration in northern provinces that border Turkey. But America's conflicting plans appear to have prompted them to turn to the central government. Details of what the Kurds agreed on in their talks with the Syrian government are not known, but they had already announced readiness to hand over the control of the eastern Euphrates to Damascus. This came after the US withheld its support for the Kurdish militants in the northern Syrian city of Afrin, which is controlled by Turkey as well as Manbij. Some are now speculating that a quid pro quo between several parties, including the US, Turkey and even Russia, has led the Kurds to sit for talks with Damascus. There has now been a rise in tensions between Turkey and the US over a range of issues, the most important of which may be Washington's support for the Kurds in northern Syria. Ankara considers the Syrian Kurdish militants as an extension of Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK terrorists. It has, for the same reason, launched an offensive against the Kurds in northern Syria. Meanwhile, many believe there are a lot of interests for the US to keep its ties with Ankara, and the same ideology could have encouraged the Americans to backstab the Kurds.
I believe the Americans and the Turks are talking very, very seriously and in depth at the moment about how their forces will pull out of the country, because there is no question about it that the border with Syria, the Syrian border with Turkey, will come under the jurisdiction of Damascus. That is what President Assad has said. That is what the Syrian military have pledged to achieve. That is what the Russians are saying as well.
The current signs in Syria show the government of President Assad is nearing a victory over the terrorists that have plunged the country into a conflict for the past few years. But the current developments have of course not been free from behind-the-scenes arrangements between several key domestic and foreign parties. Many are now waiting to see if a model for compromise that the Kurds have taken up would be used by other adversary groups as well.